Hey, good morning. This is my pre-recorded message for our UPAN partners meeting. And before I really get started, a huge thank you to Chris Merritt for taking this over for me. I had something come up really last minute, and I really feel terribly that I'm not there in person. But we have so much going on at the Stop Archaeological Vandalism campaign that I wanted to make sure that I recorded something to give you guys a heads up on what we've been doing. Make sure that there are, that you guys know what's going on and that you have the opportunity to help if you want. And specifically, I do have a request. So without any further ado, let me get into it. All right, slides are up. So this is what our campaign looks like right now for Stop Archaeological Vandalism. And here's that full poster. So I love it. The future is watching. Be awesome to the past. I like that it's vaguely menacing. This was actually created by Todd Anderson at our marketing and communications staff at our Department of Cultural and Community Engagement. So really a fantastic look and feel, I think, for the Stop Archaeological Vandalism campaign. Birthing Rock panel was chosen before the incident that occurred in, I think, May of damage to it. So terrible serendipity. But anyway, here is our quick update, because I know I haven't really checked in with a lot of you for really about a year. This last year we were cooking. So I feel like 2020 was a lot of we were trying to figure out how to engage with people, how to build those messages. And now that we've really got some things locked into place, and not just messaging, but other things that we'll go over, now that we've got these things locked into place, we're really starting to fire on all cylinders. So very quick, I'm going to go over sort of the history of where this campaign comes from, the call to action that we all as archaeologists very much felt from the community and from the archaeological record itself, the goals that we have for this campaign, and the big chunk of the presentation today is how we're making friends and influencing people. That's our messaging campaign. Okay, so here's a little bit about our call to action. These just happen to be a ton of headlines that came up, most of them in the last year or two, you'll notice. We have a problem here in the US, but a particularly Utah problem of a lot of damage to archaeological sites. When I first started in this job a few years ago, this was what I heard land managers talk about the most. And it's something that's really reversible, right? And it's something that the only acceptable number of sites that are damaged is 0. It's easy to not damage a site. So where's the disconnect? Where are we not talking to people about how to behave with respect on sites, how to behave appropriately, and how to protect these places? Because overwhelmingly, people do care about these places. We decided to really have a kickoff on the Utah Public Archaeology Network. And from that kickoff event, really spun up this idea of the Stop Archaeological Vandalism campaign. We really settled on 3 different goals that we had. One is that we need to be collecting better data about damage to archaeological sites. Right now, for some really good reasons, we don't have a good centralized repository of information. And so a lot of our predictions about where we think these things are going to happen, a lot of our response is not really coming from a position of science, but really from a position of gut feeling. So how can we better improve that data collection? And then the second goal that was identified, it was a surprise to me as facilitator in that meeting, is that people were really excited to talk about how to repair damage where appropriate. And this also includes having a law enforcement presence, right? So law enforcement / repair damage. And then the third option here, the third goal that we had, is to better educate and inform the public who uses the outdoor space. So collect better data. Easy, right? Like, we are data scientists at the end of the day, but we're not coming at this from a place where we had data. A lot of our existing data was compartmentalized within different land managing agencies, which is obviously where it needs to originate and where it has the most power in terms of law enforcement potential. But when we're talking about looking at these things as a regional or statewide trend, we really do want to see where hotspots are, what kind of damage we're seeing, if there's any seasonality to that damage, your basic anthropological questions, right? So I think Ian's probably gone ahead of me here today. And so you're all very well familiar now with the site stewardship program. I'm sure everyone already knew about it before, but we're really pumped about that program, not just because of the awesome potential it has to get people out into the backcountry protecting these things, but that's going to generate data for us on the back end. So these data are available to land managers, but they're also available via SEGO to people who are permitted, PLPCO permitted, to have access to that system. So if you are a university researcher, if you're a land manager, and this is just a way that you want to be able to connect with these information, or if you're SHPO staff like we are, like I'll probably want to crunch these numbers. Now we'll have really good data on what kind of damage we're seeing, where we're seeing it, and when we're seeing it. The other benefit of this program is that it's centralized at the state. So all of our stewards go through the same training. So as much as is possible, there's going to be standardization in terms of the information that's coming back to us. So very excited that, probably not this fall, but perhaps in the spring, certainly by next fall, we should have some data that we can start to look at so that we can start making predictions about human behavior and assess the efficacy of our efforts. Hooray! The second prong of this three-pronged trident, leg of the stool, is to, where appropriate, repair damage. So this is actually on private land. Since we at the State Historic Preservation Office are not a land managing agency, we can't just go blast off and repair these things, nor would it be appropriate. As you'll see where Tina Hart here from Logan Simpson, where she's scrubbing, it's not even on like the actual petroglyph site, it's near there. So repair damage, we really only had one project this year where we were repairing damage in any physical sense. But I know that other partners are able to do that, BLM, Forest Service, National Park Service, where that's appropriate in terms of, their mission, their abilities, and whether it's appropriate, via consultation. So those procedures are in place, and it's always fantastic when that's able to happen and when that's able to happen successfully. So the other way that we're considering repair damage as part of our mandate there is reporting incidents to land managing agencies and to law enforcement officers where appropriate. Especially in the spring, we did have quite a few number of reports coming into our office, which is fantastic. Any way that people could get information to the land managers is wonderful. We're happy to be a conduit for that. And then the other thing that we are starting to do is talk with tribes and user groups about damage that has already occurred. So, I know that Ian has had a lot of outreach with OHV groups. I've been reaching out to the climbing community especially in the wake of what was all going on in the spring. And then we've also been talking to tribal councils and letting them know what are some options, doing some groundwork, laying some foundations for future collaborations and future work together. And hopefully that pays dividends in the future, right? These sorts of things, these relationships take time to build. So repair damage, also in smaller font, lay the foundation to repair damage if and when it occurs in the future. Okay, and then the third prong is to create a messaging campaign. So what we've done is we've designed something that we're calling Stop Archaeological Vandalism, SAV, SAVE. So this is a messaging campaign that's really designed to inspire people to protect the past. We want this to be a really empowering message. We want it to be really positive. We want to let Utahns and visitors, whoever might be out in our backcountry, out in our wilds, let people know what archaeology is, how to recognize it, raise awareness that it's there, that it's everywhere. You really can't get away from archaeology out here. And then know how to protect it. Sometimes this can be really complicated. Archaeological ethics not only sounds boring, but it's also got a lot of different moving parts to it, right? We've got a lot of different kinds of sites. We have a lot of different kinds of environments. And people have a lot of different kinds of ways that they want to recreate. So giving people a slew of information and then hammering them with it as much as we can, right? We want to make sure that people know before they even go outside, maybe while they're trip planning. We want them to know when they get to trailheads, and then if possible, we want them to know when they're actually at a site. And that's where that great interpretive panels come in. So a lot of what we can do is getting to people when they're in their trip planning, right? Or when they're just puttering around on the internet. And we've been really, really successful. I've been very happy to see this. We've been talking about how we're mobilizing the public as partners in preservation. We're keeping our messaging just pretty positive. We're talking about what you should be doing, because when you start talking about don't do that, it's not as effective as a message. Hopefully, if Matt has already talked, you guys have already heard a lot about pro-social messaging. And so really just the idea that you want to give people the tools to do the right thing, and you want to give them sort of the moral space to make the right choice. One of the ways that we've been really getting information out has been through this Stop Archaeological Vandalism campaign. It has been so wildly successful. I've been so proud of it. So what this is a 6-week program. If you go to bit.ly/pledge to save, and capitalizations do matter on this, I should warn you. That will give you the ability to enter into a pledge. And it's not like an NPR pledge drive. There's no money exchanged. This is really just I think it asks you to think about someone who's really important to you and who cares about the past, and hold that person in your mind for a moment and say, I'm going to do the right thing. The next time I'm out, and any time in the future that I'm out, I'm going to do what I can to stop archaeological vandalism. You put in your name, you put in your email, you click a button, and then we start teaching you what that means. So it's a 6-week email campaign where once a week you will get a new emailed newsletter kind of thing with a ton of information, and it builds across the 6 weeks. So it starts, what is archaeology? What is Utah archaeology? Then where is it? Oh man, it's actually everywhere. How do I recognize it? How do I protect it? And then we end with a really powerful message from various descendant communities about, hey, it's important for archaeological data. It's really important because this is someone's past and someone's heritage. This is how these folks feel about it. And especially for that one, we leaned on a lot of partners that are here today. So thanks, guys. We're really proud of this program, looking at our data, because we are total creeps and we do collect information about how many people open the emails, how many people click, how many people share, and how many people interact in various ways. The results really blew doors. They were fantastic. Granted, that was a friendly audience. Those were people who were sort of already, in our mailing lists. They were already friendly to our ideas. So now we're ramping it up even more. So in order to coincide with International Archaeology Day, which I think is October 19th this year, it's a Saturday, we have created several thousand of these products. I think what we are asking your help with is, please help us absolutely blanket the state with these things. I have a sign-up form that I'll have to email you, because I guess I don't have it on my slide. So I'll email you a sign-up form where I'd love it if you would grab several hundred of these, put them at your information kiosks, throw them up at your local library, bring them to your place of work, distribute them to friends, etc. We want to get these out into the world. I would love to see be awesome to the past in every public library I walk into. I would love to see these bumper stickers on the road. I definitely want to see these little stickers on people's laptops if I'm ever able to go to a Starbucks again. So we want to get this out into the world. And in exchange, I'm going to send you a sign up sheet because I would love it if anytime someone picks up one of these free stickers, if we could say, hey, sign up to receive information. You like this sticker, you obviously like archaeology, you like free stuff. I got more free stuff about archaeology for you. And that way we can educate an army of good-natured, well-intentioned people who will go into the backcountry and start to be good wilderness explorers. They'll start to organically create conversations with the people in their lives, and hopefully they'll also share it on social media. So we've got our three-pronged approach. We're going strong. Thank you so much for sitting and listening to me talk alone in my basement at like 6 o'clock at night. It's a very weird feeling, but thank you for your patience with me. Thanks again to Chris, and thank you to all of you for coming out this morning. If you want to chat more about any of this, please shoot me an email at ehora@utah.gov. Thanks again, everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you, Shannon. So the paid Google ads I find interesting because you're not getting a translation into really consuming your resources from like a newsletter sign up, but you are hitting the people that you probably are in the badder sector of where can I find things to buy, and they're finding your site. So it's an interesting metric of success.
Yeah, and I think there's some insights we can gain when we watch these keywords over time. So it may not just be the people coming on the website, but we can kind of monitor what kind of search terms people are using, things like that.
Yeah, that is really fascinating. And a troll metric. How many people are just angry at you because then you said something that hit them. Do you have any other